My name is Antara Vinaya Chandran, and before I introduce you to this course, let me share a story with you. It's hardly a story, it's actually my experience, which I can in hindsight share as a story. I had landed my first job and undergone a fantastic training and come out with flying colors at the end of it. I was one of the fastest learners among my peer group and was raring to go once I knew I was standing on the threshold of my customer service career. A pep talk by my team leader and 2 thumbs up later, I was wearing my headset and staring into the computer, waiting for that first ring. Just as I had learnt in training, I answered the call on the first ring with my best customer service voice, a heady mix of confidence and eloquence. Even before I had finished introducing myself, a calm voice on the other end of the line had said, "Are you authorized to take decisions, ma'am? If you aren't, please do both of us the favor of getting me onto someone who has that authority." What do you think happened next? I froze. In the next 5 seconds, which felt like a decade, the customer said hello thrice, while I stared blankly at my computer screen. Of course, help came in the form of my team lead, who grabbed my headphones, and that's all I remember. And there was my first taste of a challenging customer. Did my team leader find the customer challenging? I could see that she didn't, because within minutes she was smiling and the call seemed to have gone on very well. But I had a different story to tell, and you know how that played out. In this course, I'm going to introduce you to different types of customers and, importantly, ways to handle them. This course is divided into 3 sections: an introduction to customer service, different types of customers, and finally, handling challenging customers. Each section will be delivered through an individual video. Please refer to your handbook for notes and use it to make your own notes as well. So what can you expect to learn from this course? There are largely 2 learning points. The first is that you will be able to identify different types of challenging customers, and second, you will learn how to handle these customers. Let's begin. In this section, Introduction to Customer Service, you will learn to identify a customer and explain the meaning of customer service. The moot point in handling challenging customers is to understand who is a customer. We're all customers, so we're all familiar with how customers behave and what they expect. I, for one, am a pretty tough customer. I have high expectations and am terribly put off when I am not treated as I think I should be. As a customer, I pay for the product or service, so I demand a certain level of service from the business I engage with. In Wipro, our engagement with customers is over the phone, and this makes our jobs just a little more difficult. Can you guess why? Think back of the most recent time when you were a customer. This morning or last evening, perhaps? Even if you were simply buying a cup of tea from a roadside stall, you were a customer. So thinking of your most recent experience can't be all that difficult. In a face-to-face scenario, a customer communicates his or her feeling through words, but more importantly, through body language. When you were happy, you would have shown visible signs of happiness, a smile perhaps. And when you were angry, you would have shown anger as well. Your brows might have been crossed or you might have been red in the face. But when customer service is over the telephone, it is a little more challenging than a face-to-face scenario. You might have guessed the reason for that. Your body language is not visible over the phone. Let me share an interesting statistic with you. A study by an American professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, has reported that in a face-to-face communication, 55 of the messages come through body language, 38% through the tone of voice, and 7% through the words used. What does this tell you about communication? That body language is the most important factor in communication. You will learn about different types of customers as you go along, but first let's see if we can define a customer. A customer is someone who is involved in a business transaction, who obtains a product, either a service or good from another person, group, or organization. So every person who enters a business is a potential customer. What this means is, you are a customer even if you only call to inquire about a product or a service. And of course, if you've bought a product or a service, you are a customer in the most obvious sense of the word. Let me share a customer service experience with you and how my decision was affected by the service that I received. A couple of years ago, I moved cities, so I had to take up a new cell phone connection. Even though I'd been a customer of a mobile service provider for 10 years, I was open to moving vendors, so I called 3 different service providers in my new city. The first one listened patiently and provided me all the information that I had asked and promised to send me an email with details of the plans that I could choose from. That email is still awaited. The second representative didn't sound like she cared about my business at all. I couldn't understand her. She spoke at the speed of light. I didn't care to pursue that one, and neither did she. Finally, the third one did everything that the first one did and sent me the email that I had requested. He also called back after a day to check if I was going through with the connection and whether he could help me with anything else. Need I tell you who I went with? And just so you know, I changed my mobile service provider as well. They were taking me for granted, I suppose. If you noticed, when I shared my experience with you, when I'd made those initial calls, I hadn't bought anything yet. I was only inquiring. That made me a potential customer, someone who was interested in the product. The final decision that I made was basis the service and not the product, because all 3 mobile service providers had the same products on offer. At the end of the day, what won me over was the customer service of the third representative. And I must tell you this, most buying decisions are emotion-based. Otherwise, we'd all have the same cars, the same cell phones, the same clothes, the same shoes. And this is also why you see so much variety in the market, because every customer has an individual choice and personal reasons for buying. You've learned 2 things from the last experience that I shared with you. The first, customers aren't necessarily people who are buying a product or service. Even someone who is going to make a purchase is a customer. So, if you go to a shop or call a toll-free number to find out about a product or a service, you are a potential customer. The second, customer service is the making or breaking of a customer's decision. The way you handle a customer will, to a large extent, decide if the customer will buy the product or not. So far, you've learnt about the customer, and as we march towards the end of this introductory lesson, I would like to spend some time in discussing customer service and what that means. Customer service has reached different stages of maturity in different cultures. In most Western cultures, that would include the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and Australia, customer service has been an established industry for a while. Customers know what to expect and they have high expectations. As I was saying, the West has had customer service as a formidable industry for decades, but countries like India are relatively new to customer service. We've only just started to recognize customer service as a concept in the last couple of decades. Why am I telling you this, and how is this information relevant to you? This is why the information is relevant. In corporates like Wipro, which have global clients, a large number of them are from the West. Their expectations are Western, which is not the same as our expectations. The expectations and subsequent reaction from a customer from the United States would be remarkably different from expectations of customers in India. The reasons are several, but the thought that I want to leave you with is that you have to understand that different countries and different cultures would view customer service differently, and their expectations of service would be different from ours. It therefore becomes extremely important for you to be aware of the implications of customer service and that different customers would have different needs that would have to be addressed as such. And remember that a customer from the United States of America will measure your service against that of his or her own country. And now we've reached the moot question. Why do you need to learn about customer service? Why is it so important? Why is it a skill? This is why. It has been established that it is 4 times more expensive to get a new customer than to retain an old one. Yes, you heard that right. 4 times more expensive. All those television and radio advertisements cost money, and a lot of it. Customer service isn't just a business decision. It is the reason why companies are in business. If customers leave a brand because of bad customer service, the damage is irreparable and, of course, expensive. Remember, it's 4 times more expensive to get a new customer after all. Having said so much, I would like to leave you with a comforting thought. It's not as grave as it seems. Customer service actually is a lot of fun. Customers are people, just like you and me. And just like you and me, customers don't wake up in the morning with a pledge to be mean to customer service representatives. Customers also understand, like you and I do, that customer service representatives aren't perfect, just as products aren't perfect. But what customers want is that they are listened to and that their problems are understood and their opinions and fears given the due respect. They expect you to be around and give them your best shot. Customers expect to be wooed and wowed with customer service, and you have the power to give it to them. With that, we've reached the end of the first section of this course on handling challenging customers, Introduction to Customer Service. In this section, you've learned who is a customer and what is customer service. After this video, I would like you to refer to your handbook and go through section 1 of handling challenging customers, as well as make your notes and answer pertinent questions to check your understanding. I'll see you later with section 2, different types of customers. Until then, happy learning. Thank you for watching.